Our guest today is Rand Timmerman, a U.S. Marine combat veteran who fought in Vietnam. After the war, he became a successful attorney, and in retirement, he and his brother Ron decided to hike the Appalachian Trail. He ended up writing a book about it, and it's called A Spiritual Passage. It's the true story of two brothers in their 70s tackling the Appalachian Trail while facing their personal demons and strengthening their faith along the way. Today, Rand is here to share his story with us and talk about the adventures he had along the way. Rand, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Todd. Great pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. And now let me just say that I thoroughly enjoyed reading your book.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a really compelling story, first off, and I like how you set it up. You switch back and forth between trail reports and also weaving in your life story along the way. So it really keeps the reader's attention. Just a wonderful book. So I appreciate you sharing that with the world.
Oh, thank you. And the pictures were pretty good too.
Thanks for calling that out, because I was actually reading it on my Kindle, and you can zoom in on the pictures and see those as well. There are over 500 pictures in there. So really, really good pictures. Love that.
Yeah.
How did you take those pictures, by the way? Just your personal camera on the trail?
I had an Apple 7 and I took pictures every day. It's funny. My brother and I kind of did it different. Ron was grieving his wife, so he was kind of doing it like a military mission, head down, going as fast as he could go. And I was more frame of mind. I'm never going to come this way again, one step at a time. And I took a lot of pictures. And
Nice.
yeah, my brother studied maps and all kinds of stuff. There's pictures in the book. I'm sure you noticed he always seemed to be looking at a map.
Yeah.
And I kind of got in after a couple of weeks. I go, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hike it like it's in the 1970s, where it wasn't a big thing. There was not a lot of signs, and I'm just going to be surprised. Whatever happens, happens, and whatever I see, I see. And so, it made a big difference for me.
You definitely had a lot of surprises on the trail, so we'll be getting into those. I'll jump into the questions now. Let's start with your early life. Can you tell us about your childhood?
Yeah, my brother and I grew up in a village called Adams, New York. It's about an hour and a half from Canadian border on the east side of Lake Ontario, up by the St. Lawrence River. More cows than people. Around 5 years old, I realized we were kind of screwed. My dad I came from a family of warriors, Todd. I had 3 uncles that served in World War II, plus my dad. And he was a Mustang pilot. And then he came home, married my mom, had me, my brother, and then he got polio. And a lot of people don't realize polio was devastating, absolutely devastating. In our village of about 2,500 people, there was probably at least 100 people with polio. My father had 2 cousins that got it and died the same day.
Oh,
It must have been something in our genes, but he made it to the hospital and spent a year it's a children's hospital in Utica, New York, actually. 8 months on an iron lung. And I cannot imagine what that was like for him. I never knew my dad when he was who he was. He was not the same man, I'm sure. A very hard worker, amazing guy in many ways, but he was very tough guy. And he didn't like any kind of emotional. And so, and I, we were forced to go to church, kind of. My mom was pretty religious, and my brother took that up and became a very religious man, never lost his spirituality. I was kind of like, I was going to bed hungry every night, and it just felt like if there was a God, he was punishing me. And then, all right, he's a loving God, but then he's got all these rules, and I'm starving to death, and I'm stealing candy bars when I go to the store, stuff like that. And funny story in the book that you noted in the notes, where I ended up being a president of the Baptist youth group when I was a senior in high school. And I did fine. We were doing collecting papers and selling paper stock and stuff like that, newspapers. And we were going to go on this trip. And I don't know, I borrowed a black leather jacket with the chrome. This is a hood jacket, right? What the hoods wore. That's what we called the tough guys back in those days.
Yeah.
And I went to the last meeting I chaired as president. I was smoking cigarettes and drinking beer. And I don't know, I was just rebelling, you know?
Yeah.
And after the meeting, I did the meeting. I mean, but after the meeting, four of my Christian brothers met me in the parking lot, and it didn't end well for me.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, well they beat the crap out of me actually.
Hey,
But you know,
brothers.
it's
Thought
funny.
we were.
After when we were adults later on, I got along with all those guys. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
just went through this thing where okay, God, you know, what, screw you, basically.
Well, I mean, you were a good Baptist then, drinking outside and, kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know.
So, wow, that was a pretty eventful early life. Now, at some point now, after graduating high school, Vietnam was going on and you decided to join the Marine Corps. What led to that decision?
Right. Well, at 13 years old, I tried alcohol. I actually got invited to a party with another friend, and 13 years old, I'm covered. I got acne. I'm wearing clothes that got patches on them. Shoot, everything we had was worn out by somebody else, you know.
Right.
So I always felt like less than. I went to this party, found a bottle of Jim Beam.
Mm.
And me and the other kid drank it and crawled home. But I just remember it made me feel so. The first part of it, I took that first mouthful and it's like, oh, how can anybody drink this stuff? And then that warm feeling went down. I'll never forget. Warm feeling went
Mm.
down my body, and I got big. Now I'm 6'4". I'm Clint Eastwood. I'm looking good. I'm funny, sexy, happy. It was just an amazing experience. And we crawled home. Next morning, I woke up. I heard my dad, and I didn't get sick.
Mm.
Didn't have a headache. I didn't feel quite right, and I know I drank more than David. So I went in the garage where I heard my dad work and stood way back, expecting the worst, and told him what
Uh-huh.
happened. And he just looked at me and he said, "Well, David's in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and don't do that again." And my brain was like, "I can't wait," you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I knew that it was going to be a problem if I wasn't really, really careful. And it was a good thing in the sense, Todd, that I make a decision. I'm never going to do drugs.
Mm.
Because why
Okay.
would I? When alcohol
Mm.
would do that for me,
Mm.
I just knew if I was going to be having a problem with alcohol, I didn't need to pile other stuff on top of it. And I never did. I never tried. I never did anything else. So in
Mm.
that way, it was kind of a blessing. But it was a factor in my life for sure. So I went off to college, first one in our family. I did 3 semesters at Oswego State. I was always working, even as a kid. I was trapping, hunting, always trying to make money, working on farms and everything. I was driving tractors when I was 12. And
Yeah.
so I went to college at Oswego. I'm working as a janitor from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning, cleaning toilets,
Mm.
a pin setter in a bowling alley, and selling Amway products on the weekends. And I have no money, right?
Mm-hmm.
The college was just taking it all away from me. And I did 3 semesters, changed my major every semester. The last one I was psychology major because I knew I was a nut job. So, and I would say my change to drink on the weekends because I couldn't afford it most of the time. But anyway,
Right.
one night I ended up in a bar. I stayed there the whole weekend. The owner came in on Monday. I heard him put the key in the door. I'm on the pool table. There's nobody there, just me. I'm laying on the pool table.
Yeah.
Bartender comes in, doesn't say a word, goes over, starts cleaning up the bar, turns on the radio, and they're talking about 1st Marine Division going into Vietnam.
Mm.
This is February of 1966. I graduated in 64.
Okay.
And I'm laying there, I made the decision. I wasn't happy. I was working my butt off. I'm not going anywhere. So they're talking about that. I had been in the Boy Scouts. I was an Eagle Scout. I did all that stuff. And I thought, you know what? For me, it was like the French Foreign Legion, my
Mm-hmm.
version, right?
Right.
So away I went. And a month later, I'm in the War Memorial in Syracuse, taking the oath to defend my country against enemies, foreign and domestic. And 6 months later, I'm in a rice paddy thinking, maybe I screwed up.
Oh, wow. And you were infantry. It wasn't like you were just back in the rear with the gear. You were actually out in the field. So, I mean, what unit were you with there?
1st Marines. I was in the
Okay.
1st Marine Division. we were in Camp Pendleton getting ready to ship out the next day, and they had the last formation, and I got called to the front, and a guy looked at me, a sergeant, and said, "You're going on mess duty for 30
Okay.
days."
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God. When I tried to argue with him, you know, so for 30 days, I sat on a stool from 4 o'clock in the morning until 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, 30 days straight, peeling potatoes.
Oh,
There
that's
was a
miserable.
pile of potatoes, I swear, 10 feet tall when I walked in there
Oh,
at 4 a.m. And it was mostly gone by but the problem with
oh,
it was, Todd, that all those guys I had trained with, all that training, all the tactics, my buddies went to Vietnam without me.
oh no.
Yeah. I only saw a couple of them by chance in Vietnam. So I was like, you know, a straggler when I got there.
Hmm.
And then the first night there, I got there in the monsoon. It was pouring buckets, got all my ammo, gear, you know, M14 grenade, everything. And we went to the transition tent. And to go in there, it was probably midnight by then, pouring rain.
Mm.
And there's the guy that was showing me around grabbed the tent, opened the door, and it's sandbagged and everything, but it was still a wall tent. And it was a
Hmm.
bang. Oh my God. Total pandemonium. Guys are in there screaming, medic, medic, medic. And a little while later, people are running around, and eventually they brought the dead Marine out on a poncho, took him
Oh
away,
no.
and I went in, sat on an empty cot, and I just listened to them. They had come out of the field. They're going home the next day. This guy they just got their mail in a big package. Like, that's how we only got our mail about once a month.
Right.
And apparently this guy had opened this up. You would always look for, like, I had a girlfriend, you know, you're going to look for her letters first, and the most recent one. And that's what he did. And he opened it up and said, "Dear John, I met somebody else.
Ah.
Kind of a whirlwind. We got married yesterday, and you never thought." He just picked up his pistol. Uh,
Oh,
oh my God. Oh
that's
my God.
terrible.
Yeah. Never
It
forget.
seems like every deployment, somebody gets a Dear John letter. Just, it's terrible, man. So that, yeah, the guy Jody, did you guys talk about Jody back home? Did you talk about that
I don't remember.
suspicious character?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we talked about all kinds of things.
Yeah,
Million.
I joined in the 90s and we always talked about Jody. He's back home talking to your girl and all that stuff. So yeah, it
Oh, yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I had forgotten about that. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. We
So
talked
you
about,
guys talked about that in Vietnam as well?
I think so. Yeah, for sure we did. I don't know if it was Jody. It could have been, you know, Jerry or whatever, but
Yeah, or
yeah,
somebody back home. Yeah.
yeah.
Ah, I
We
hate
talked
those
about
guys.
$1 million wounds. We all wanted to get $1 million wound.
Man, just harrowing. So yeah, and you shared a story in the book about weren't you like overrun by the NVA? And can
Yeah,
you share that with us?
my job, I had three MOSs, military occupational specialty. I was an infantryman, 0311. I was a machine gunner, which I think was 0341. And I was a clerk typist. I had an 0141.
Oh wow.
So I wasn't in combat all the time. A lot of times I was behind a typewriter during the day, and then, you
Mm-hmm.
know, doing up orders and stuff. And then I would be on patrol at night or perimeter duty, or sometimes we'd be off. But I'm an alcoholic. I get bored pretty easy,
Yeah.
and so I would volunteer for stuff and end up running around the middle of the night, shotgun, and I got involved in a reaction platoon, which we were supposed to be like there to go out in emergencies, try to
Mm-hmm.
turn the tide type of thing. And
Mm.
yeah, we went out one night, and we all knew it was going to be bad. We just, you know, you go on these deals and you just, it's a monsoon, it's pouring buckets. It's like being in a full blast shower with everything on.
Ugh.
And
Yeah.
it's at night, and we knew there was no air support. The helicopters can't fly around in the, you know, like that. No radio,
Mm.
because it wasn't going to work anyway. And even if it did, we were going to be. So anyway, we walked all night long, and at daybreak, our mission was to find a plane that had gone down, a C-130, a huge cargo plane. If it hadn't hit a village and caused fires, we probably wouldn't have never found it. But we walked all night. We found it just before daybreak, and then didn't take very long. We were doing okay until we ran out of ammo.
Oh no.
Yeah. I had 2 bullets left. I was always afraid I was a coward, Todd. And I am a coward. I was a coward.
I read that in the book, and I really don't see it that way. What? How do you
most
think
people
that?
don't, but that was anyway, so I'm having a quick debate. I can see 5 enemy soldiers coming right at me.
Yeah.
And I'm having a debate. We counted down. You always counted your rounds, right? So you know how much you had left. So I knew I only had 2 bullets left in my last magazine. And I was thinking, okay, I can shoot myself. I knew I couldn't probably stand being a prisoner because we knew what they did, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't want to kill myself. So I just stabbed the guy. And when I did, I ended up being covered with, his stuff. And then I ran. I ran right straight at him. And I used those last 2 bullets to save my life, and ended up in the jungle, in a river. Anyway, took a few days, nights, but eventually I heard a tank, and I knew that the enemy didn't have any tanks because we're in the jungle in northern. I was in Iko. Anyway, so I guess it's got to be Marines. So I came a few hours later. I bursted out of the bush. I am a total wreck. My clothes are pretty much gone. Right? My shoes, my heels were going on my boots. I'm leaving a blood trail. I got my rifle and the bayonet still on the end. That's it. And they almost shot me because the way I came out of the bush, I'm a Marine, don't shoot. A few hours later, I'm in the headquarters battalion of 1st Marine. I'm back at 1st Marine Division, but I'm in this bunker I don't even know existed. And it's a cement bunker buried in the ground. It's full of generals and colonels. And it's like out of a movie. They got maps on the walls. They got the big topographical layout right in front with where the units are and all that stuff. And this general's asking me all kind of questions. Where were you? Trying to figure out where we were. I don't know where the hell we were. Kind of new. Anyway, and then at the end of it, he's like poking me. He said, Marines never run from the battlefield. You hear me, mister? And I'm like, oh, and I'm freezing. It's cold. They gave me blankets and a couple sandwiches. Anyway, I went to the sick bay, fell asleep. Somebody woke me up. It felt like I'd been asleep 10 minutes. I mean, I basically hadn't slept in days, right? And then sergeant says, you got to go back. So I'm going back. Well, I went back. And by the time I got there, it was sunny, no more rain, 120 degrees probably, 100% humidity. I started there. I picked up a shoe, which I shouldn't go into all this detail. Anyway, I picked up the sandal of a child. They made their sandals out of tires. I walked away. I walked over to the edge of the village and standing in the shade. And all of a sudden, I was surrounded by all these little kids. And they go, Mr. Marine, Mr. Marine. I mean, they were crying. I gave them all my water. I gave them all my food, all my candy, everything. Next thing I know, I'm staggering around. I'm like, Rand, you're drunk. When it came to, I was on the USS Repose hospital ship in Da Nang Harbor. And took me a while to figure out where I was and all that kind of stuff. And I did a personal inventory of my body after a while, and I realized I've got tubes in my arms. I must have been totally dehydrated and went into shock.
Gotcha.
So I was in a coma for a few days. And so anyway, I'm trying to figure things out. I can hear this guy in the bed next to me. He's making these really weird noises. And eventually I figured out where I was. I could see doctors and nurses down the bay. This bay was full of wounded Marines that I was in on the ship. And anyway, and we always talked about $1 million wound. And I'm doing a personal inventory, and I finally realized there's nothing wrong with me. My feet are fine. Well, my feet aren't fine, but my feet are okay. And went up my body, and I'm like, you don't have $1 million wound. You're not going home. And then I rolled over and looked at the guy in the bed next to me. He was one of my brown brothers, black eyes. His head was totally swaddled in cotton. It looked like a basketball but made out of white cotton. And there's tubes going in, and the bottom of it is full of pink liquid dripping all over the place. And his eyes are looking at me, and I looked at him and I went, "Oh my God, you've got $1 million wound. You're going home." And then he really started, and I rolled back over on my back, and I said, "You idiot! He has no lower jaw. He has no lower jaw."
That's rough.
Yeah. So he had $1 million wound, not because he was going to be really badly disabled, obviously. I don't know what happened to him, of course. But anyway, I was back out in the jungle, and a couple of days later, and I just thought, well, you're just going to have to do what you got to do. At that point, I figured there's no way I was going to make it out alive. That was kind of the mindset most of us got and then usually by the time you got the last couple of weeks, you go, damn, I might.
I might make it home.
So anyway, way too much detail there, but
no, that's great.
Well, it caused
great
me
detail.
to have wicked bad nightmares eventually. After
I can only
got
imagine.
home. Yeah, I had bad nightmares of that. I fallen out of a helicopter. I actually did fall out of a helicopter, but landed on the skid. So I had these dream nightmares where I would either be falling out of a helicopter and then I didn't land on the skid, or I had been disemboweled in my bed at home. And usually my bed smelled, I could smell the gunpowder and the manure, and then my wife would throw the light on and I'd be covered with sweat instead of blood, and then I would realize, but the bed was full of manure because I had voided myself. And the first time that happened, my wife looked at me and we both knew. Because see, up to that point, I thought I was all right. I had come home, got married, had kids, went to college, got a degree, became a lawyer, all that good stuff. But right after a couple of years, all of a sudden I started having those nightmares, and there was no treatment those days.
We didn't. Until recent years, we didn't really treat PTSD. It was just, suck it up pretty much. And people didn't want to go get help. So people didn't seek out help from psychiatrists or anything like that. So,
right.
Things have changed a bit in recent years, thankfully.
Yeah.
Man, well, glad you made it through. So
yeah, but there are other aspects to it too. I came home, and I already talked about my dad a little bit. And when I came home, what happened was, and I wrote about this in the book, they made me a second lieutenant at the very end.
Nice.
Yeah, they called them Mustang lieutenants. So when I got ready to leave, Colonel came to talk to me, and he said, "Well, you're going to go back to corporal, and you can go home." And see, I had a 2-year enlistment, and you can get out, or you can go to OCS and be a real lawyer or be a real officer, second lieutenant. Well, I didn't have any. Hell, I didn't expect to survive. So I said, "Sure, why not?"
Bonus.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Todd? It was the best thing that ever happened to me, because a lot of the other guys came home and we all started drinking, basically, right?
Yeah.
A lot. But what it did for me, it gave me 30 days off. I met a girl, got engaged.
Nice. Okay.
I would go and do stuff with her in the afternoon, and in the evening, take her back at 9 o'clock. And then I would go out with my military buddies. Some of them were in the Army, and just drink our brains out. At the end of that, I was engaged. It's a little bit crazy. But anyway, I knew I was going to OCS. So I went right back into that whole, you know how the military is, that whole military boot camp all over again.
OCS,
yeah,
TBS.
And these guys all got college degrees and everything. And I'm this enlisted guy, somehow managed to get in with them. And they kind of a little bit so did the instructors, a little bit put us vets. There was a couple other guys too, on a little bit of a pedestal. We had a big advantage because we knew what the military was like. We knew what combat was like. And so they we could help out a little bit. So, and then I got sent so in Vietnam, I was a machine gunner on a helicopter for a while in the 1st Marine Air Wing.
Swinging with the wing.
It was a wing. So I don't want to be a grunt anymore. I'm done with that. So I ended up in the 1st Marine Air Wing at Cherry Point in South Carolina.
Oh,
After
nice.
all
Yeah.
that training, yeah. And I get there and I run into an old drill instructor who is now a Mustang captain. He was the captain of the day. And he said, Red, you want to go to school? I said, well, I don't know. What do you got? And he rattled him off and he says, Rhode Island. I said, Rhode Island? I've never been to Rhode Island. What's that?
Yeah.
JAG school.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I said, sure, why not? See, I was probably going to end up being a forward observer going back to Vietnam. That was kind of the track I was on, right?
Okay.
So now
Yeah.
I'm in the
Yeah.
air wing. I can still be put on the ground and tell them where to bomb and stuff like that. So
Right.
that was kind of the track I was on. And so I went over there to that school, and 20 of us rented this mansion in Rhode Island in the off season. We're on the ocean. We each got our own bedroom. And these guys are all, they're captains. They're out of the law school. They're real lawyers. And there's, this uniform code of military justice. This would be a piece of cake. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
darn, I think I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
work at this. So I didn't drink during the week. I still was pretty good at disciplining myself. And
Right.
lo and behold, I became the class honor man. I got
Oh, wow.
well,
That's great.
yeah. So the Marine Corps damn near got me killed about 20 times. And then it
Right.
gave me a career because after that, I went back to Cherry Point. I was an legal officer and I started doing defense work on court martials. And I won a couple
Mm-hmm.
cases, got a couple acquittals. So then they did the logical thing, made me a prosecutor.
Right.
And we had a detachment at Rosie Roads. So every time it looked like I was going back to Vietnam, all of a sudden I had orders. I would go down there and do Article 32 trials for a month.
Sounds like God was looking out for you there.
No, my buddy, my drill instructor. So his name was Dale Moan. And when I came back, I think
Yes.
the second time, I
Nice.
go, geez, Dale, I'm not on the top of the list to go overseas again. They drop me back down. I've only got a year to go. Maybe I won't even go. And he goes, you dumb whatever.
Yep.
Why do you think I keep sending you? Oh, you're sending me down. He said, yeah, if you
I'm
go back to
hooking you up.
Vietnam, you get killed.
Wow. So you had the hookup. That is great.
I had a guardian angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
So you eventually got out. So how did that play out?
Well, I did that at Cherry Point. I had gotten engaged. I got married in the Marine Corps. We had two daughters. One daughter, another one on the way. When I left, I went to Syracuse. As soon as I got out, I was in college. Got my BA after a year and a half, and then law school, and graduated, and self-employed as an attorney for 40 years. I had a great career. I really did.
Yeah.
I was a weekend warrior. All us military guys, kind of that mindset type thing: drink hard, play hard, work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung out. I did 26 marathons. I was kind of banged up.
Wow.
I ended up losing everything in my right leg, my anterior cruciate ligaments and my medial meniscus. So I ran 26 marathons on a bum knee. And
Wow.
by the time I was doing the Appalachian Trail, my right leg was a half-inch shorter than my left.
Oh, wow.
And I had an artificial knee in my left leg.
Yeah.
So
So you weren't a spring chicken hitting that trail.
No, but I did have that solid base of fitness, and I limped. I like to brag. I was the limpiest man to ever walk the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, I got the impression you were like the tortoise that beat the hare, because you talked about the kids would just fly by, blah, 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 but they have to take breaks, and you were just slow and steady, and you'd end up passing them up. So that was cool.
Yeah, we never stopped. Ronnie and I would
Nice.
meet in the middle and for about 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
he kept going and I kept going, and it's amazing, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you had a lot of starts and stops. So prior to the Appalachian Trail, very successful career as an attorney in New York, but you were a heavy drinker. How did you get to the point where you were like, I'm an alcoholic? How did you realize that?
Oh, I knew I was an alcoholic from the get-go. I just knew I could drink more than. In the Marine Corps, we had a battalion party. Like in there's a Vietnam movie where they're having this big beer bust and everything. It was kind of like that. The whole battalion started drinking at like noon and just party, party, party. And then the next morning, I'm standing there. The colonel is standing next to me. The sun is starting to come up. We're talking. Everybody else is passed out or asleep. There's Marines in prostate formation everywhere. He and I are the only two people standing, right? This guy's like
Wow.
6'4". He's like Clint Eastwood, 6'4". I mean, he's a picture perfect Marine.
Yeah.
And then there's me, 5'8", 145 pounds, you know. And he looks at me and he goes, "You want to have another one, Lieutenant?" I said, "Sure."
That's so
We're
funny.
still, you know,
Ah,
yeah, it's crazy. So I knew I had a problem with alcohol for sure.
right.
And, but I was also very determined to be successful. I had people working for me most of my life. Tried to be a good boss. I was a very successful attorney. Didn't really have any problems. I drank a little bit too much sometimes. I would go for periods where I didn't drink at all just to make sure, you know, it didn't overpower me. But kids are gone, wives are gone. At the end, I was, it owned me. It owned me. And so I came into a program. It's an anonymous program for alcoholics. And I wasn't successful at first. And I went into a rehab at one point for 47 days. I could stop, but I could not stay stopped. And when I drank, I never had any idea how much I was going to drink. But at the end, it was way too much. And anyway, I had a divine intervention.
Okay.
The only way you can describe it. I was kept putting my finger up at whatever this higher power might be and saying, "I'm going to do what I want," when I would relapse. And then I'd come back begging for mercy. But I was refusing to do the spiritual part of the program. And the program, yeah, you know, you're familiar with that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've never participated, but I know what you're talking about from your book. So
Yeah.
and you eventually met a man who would become your sponsor. His name is Billy. Can you talk about him?
Yeah, Billy was amazing. So I had, in 3.5 years, I had been staying sober for 3 months without much problem, and I could never make 4. And it got really, really bad.
Right.
At one point, I was locked up in the VA in a psych ward for a week because of my suicidal ideation. And it was really, really bad. And then finally, at the end, I went on I called them air vodka vacations. I just didn't care anymore. I just wanted it to end. I just wanted, and I would just start drinking, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't control it. I thought it was a moral issue with me, something bizarre about me or whatever, like I'm unique in a bad way.
Right.
I really wasn't any worse than any other alcoholic. A lot of people don't realize, but alcoholism is a disease.
Okay.
Alcoholics metabolize alcohol different than normal people, right? And in 1956, the American Medical Association defined it as a disease and put it in the list. And so we are, you know, it has been determined to be a disease. And the reason is because alcoholics metabolize alcohol differently than normal people. And we create an excess of acetone. And acetone is what gives you that feeling that you have to drink. A normal person starts to drink and they get that, you know, maybe they get a little giggly or whatever, and then they start to get a little upset stomach, they don't feel quite right. Their body is metabolizing the acetone and it's telling them maybe you need to stop, and they stop.
Yeah.
The alcoholic, it builds up, and it's that thirst. I would be coming out, you know, I'd be coming to again after 2 or 3 days of drinking, and I'm as thirsty as I was the day I started, and I can't stop. And I did not understand that. Most people don't, but so that helped me out too. Eventually, when I figured that it's not a moral thing. It's a
Right.
so anyway, I got wicked drunk my last go around, and I was going to go to the liquor store and get some more cherry vodka and just like a gallon. I mean, I was in really bad shape. Problem was, it was Saturday, and it was 7:00 in the morning. I'd been drinking all night, and liquor store doesn't open till 9. So I went and sat on this guy's front steps on this house.
Okay. So just some random guy just
Just a
sat on his
random
front
guy.
steps.
And Billy
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
out with his fishing poles. I found out later he loved to fish. He was going to spend the day fishing. Beautiful day, sun's coming up.
Yeah.
He sees me. He kind of looks like scared for a second. And then he puts his fishing poles down. He comes over and sits down next to me and he says, I know you. You're just like me.
Uh,
He'd been in
mm,
Alcoholics Anonymous for 30 years.
mm,
Helped hundreds of men. He had walked into his first meeting 30 years before that, and he did not believe in God either.
right.
But he never drank again. The old guys put their arms around him and said, you stick with us, kid, you'll be all right. And he
That's
was. And then
great.
he devoted his life to helping other alcoholics. So anyway, he took me to the
Mm,
hospital. He could have dropped me off, told me to get the hell out of his car.
mm,
He didn't. He went inside and spent the whole day with me in the hospital. I'm on the gurney with the tubes in my arms, and he's sitting in a chair telling me his story.
mm,
And he became, like you said, he became my sponsor. And he got me out of detox 4 days later, and we went to a meeting, and we ended up going to a meeting every day for a year.
mm.
And sometimes we both drive and go to a meeting and pick up guys, and I mean, it was a hell of an experience. It really was. And he took me through the steps of the program.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing he told me was day one, after he picked me up out of detox, when we went to a meeting after the meeting, he looked at me, he said, Rand, you need to pray to that God you don't believe in.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh no, Billy, come on. You spent all day with me. You know I don't believe in God. I don't. And he just looked at me, he said, or you'll get drunk again.
Yeah.
And he was telling me the truth. And it
Yeah.
hit me right in the gut. And I just looked at it and said, I'll do whatever you tell me to do.
Mm.
Taught me to pray to that God you don't believe in. He had a third step prayer. I memorized that real quick, and I was praying for God to give me the strongest possible desire not to drink today, to not think about it so much, Rand, because that's all you do, and to
Mm-hmm.
smash the idea I have to drink again because you don't.
Yeah.
And it worked. It's been over almost 12 years now, and I have not drank again.
Mm.
And I've been doing that every day. And I had to do a whole bunch of other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
after like 3 months, sure enough, I had that day where I just wanted to drink so bad. I was heading out the door, and I heard Billy's voice in my head said, get on your knees and pray.
Mm.
And I did. I was
Mm.
crying, Todd. I hate to admit this. I did not want to drink so bad, but I wanted to
Mm.
drink so bad. And in the past, I'd always given into it. And
Yeah.
I got on my knees, and I swear a minute later, I got up and it was gone. It was the first time in my adult life that I got that feeling that I had to drink, and I
Mm.
didn't.
Right.
That's God working in me,
Yeah.
right?
And you didn't believe, but it didn't matter.
Right.
You-
And then it happened again a few months later. And the second time was a little more, it wasn't quite so quick. I think God was saying, well, let's see what this guy's really made of.
right.
You know, it takes hard work. It's
Mm.
not magic. It takes hard
Yeah.
work. It takes devotion. It takes faith. It takes
Yeah.
a lot. But
Yeah.
changed my life. Changed my life
That's
completely.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Billy started encouraging you as part of the process. He encourages you to start calling people in the program to talk to them.
Yeah.
And that was hard for you at first, but it changed over time. So can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah. That's great, Todd. Yeah. Like the second or third day, he goes, have you got any phone numbers in your phone of people in AA? And I'm like bragging. Like, oh, yeah, Billy. I raised my hands 12 times saying I'm coming back. And they always send the thing around the room. Everybody puts their name and their phone number on it, gives it to
Yeah.
you, and call somebody. Billy says, did you ever call anybody, Rand, before you picked up that drink? No. Why would- No. So Billy says, I want you to call somebody. I want you to call 5 guys a day. And I'm like, oh my
Nice.
God. But I didn't, Todd, I did not want to drink again. So the next,
Yeah.
I said, can I start tomorrow? Billy said, sure, but you start, mister. Billy did not screw around with me. He really,
That's great.
people talk about their suggestions. No, not in Billy's boot camp. It wasn't. It was do this or drink. It's your choice. So
Right.
I remember the next day vividly. I waited till 8 o'clock. I picked a guy I knew worked.
Yeah.
called him. I said, my name is Rand, and the guy probably knew me. My name is Rand, and Billy's my sponsor, and he told me to call 5 guys a day, so I'm calling you, and I'm fine. I hung up. I'm like, why is this so hard?
Yeah.
To myself, I had a conversation with, why is this so damn hard? I don't want to do it. And then I realized, it's because I didn't want to admit to anybody I needed help.
Yeah.
I'm trying to live in that old facade of the tough Marine, the big shot lawyer, at least in my little pond. I was a pretty big shot in a little pond. And, and I got this. I could run, I could do all these things. And I couldn't stop drinking. So that helped me a lot. Next day, Billy goes, are you making those phone calls, mister? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm making them. Well, what do you say? And I said, I tell him I'm fine. And Billy says, you're not fine? What the hell?
You're not.
I said, Billy, I don't know what to say. I've been calling guys because I know they're at work. I'm just leaving messages. I haven't actually talked to anybody yet because I'm scared to actually say to somebody, I need help. I don't want to talk about my shit. And he said, no, you don't do that. You don't do that. You ask them whatever you're dealing with, like if you're dealing with the issue of a higher power, something outside of yourself. A higher power is something. Obviously, I am powerless against alcohol, right? I couldn't. I tried everything except the right thing.
Yeah.
All right, it didn't work. So I got to have a power outside of me to help me out, and it's got to be bigger than me because obviously it's not going to match me. It's got to be bigger. It's got to be a higher power. Billy says, you're struggling with that whole thing. Ask them how they made a connection with their higher power. Holy crap. So I started doing that. I would ask him questions. Why do you go to meetings every day? Why, and then I would just shut up.
Yeah.
And let them talk. And it worked. It was fantastic. And today, I've been helping guys now for over 10 years. And I answer the damn phone. Rand, if an alcoholic calls you, you answer the phone.
Yeah.
And I ask him how they're doing.
That's cool because he didn't say, hey, this is why you're doing it. You've got to do this. He's just giving you basic stuff. Do this. Because he knows the result when you're connecting with other people. And it works.
It works.
That's a great story, man.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, then to answer your question precisely. So after a year, I've done all the steps. And one day after a meeting, I was going to meetings. I would go to 2 or 3 meetings a day, especially when I was in the early recovery, in a meeting, I was safe for myself. And I knew that. Yeah. So if they urged to drink out too bad, I would go to another meeting in the middle of the day. I would go to a meeting with Billy at night. Then I would go to a meeting first thing the next morning because it was keeping me sober. It was helping me. Yeah. Right. I'm in rooms with sober people living a sober life and telling each other how they do it. Right. That's very powerful.
Yeah.
And so and I was a litigator, so I can talk pretty good, sound pretty good. And after a meeting, a young guy came up to me and said, would you be my sponsor? And I got like 13 months and my brain is like, no, Rand, you're not ready.
Yeah.
So I did what Billy did. I said, come back tomorrow. Billy was every day people were asking him, right? So he said, come back tomorrow. So I did that. And then usually they don't. 90% of them just had that moment and then they go, well, I don't really want to do, So but I needed to go talk to Billy. So I went and talked to Billy. I told him what happened and I just waited and he goes, oh, well, that's good, Rand. Go for it. I go, Billy, you're supposed to tell me I'm not ready. I'm not ready. He goes, oh, Rand, you're ready. You got a lot of bad experience.
You're perfect.
No, I got a lot. Yeah, I've had decades of bad experience. And he said, and now you got good experience.
Yeah.
And you got me. So if you get stuck, we'll figure it out. It'll be fine. The first 2 guys I tried to help weren't ready. They both went back out and died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a very, it's a tough deal sometimes.
And your book doesn't pull punches. You don't pull punches when we're writing about alcoholics. That was an eye-opener for me because at one point you described the mind of an alcoholic, and this is important. And I think a lot of people that know me need to hear this. Now, would you describe the mind of an alcoholic? And you use those words conniving and scheming. Talk more about that, would you?
Sure. So now I've been doing this a while. I have never met a stupid person in the program I go into, the anonymous program.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholics all seem to have a lot of brain power. And it's not necessarily, then they're all different. It could be a carpenter, it could be a janitor, it could be a rocket scientist. I mean, but I've never met somebody in Alcoholics Anonymous did not have a pretty damn active brain, right?
Right.
Which also has the ability to lie to ourselves. We scheme, and oh my God, I was basically an honest person. I did not have any financial problems, right? I always took care of my bill. I did all that kind of stuff. When I wasn't drinking, I was very nice to people. I was well liked in the professional community because I was kind of do my job, be prepared, do a good job. Judges love me. I'd bring in case law and give it to them, all kinds of stuff. So I had a good career that way. But I always knew in my mind, I got to be careful. I did not drink. When I was working, I did not drink. I wasn't going to lunches and getting or any of that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But I ended up retiring earlier than I thought I would because I knew it was going to be a problem. It was going to explode on me. And so, yeah. But we have very busy minds, most alcoholics, and we do scheme. And I would lie through my butt to defend my right to drink.
Yeah.
That's where the scheming and that's what alcoholics do. We kid ourselves. Well, this time it'll be different. No, it's going to be different. It's going to be worse. Guaranteed. The acetone levels are going to build up, and your tolerance gets way high. You're scheming and conniving, trying to maintain this lifestyle, not letting anybody know, and it doesn't work. You either find a path, and there's one all laid out in our big book, and get on that path, and you'll be fine. Or institutions and death. That's pretty much the way it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, and you talk about, I mean, in addition to the conniving and scheming, there was something that you put in the book there. I'll think about it here in a bit, but let's talk about Billy. You tell a story in the book about Billy actually kicking a guy out of a session, and at first it seems pretty brutal. But can you tell that story?
Sure. Yeah, Billy was really old school, and I came from an area up north and where I was originally trying to get sober. There weren't a lot of meetings, and they were all devoted to alcohol. And there's a lot of other drugs and things, as you well know. And Billy was all about, it's AA. When we go to one of our meetings, that's what it's about, not talking about drugs and stuff. But he would try. We had a guy at a meeting one day, and the guy was a young guy sitting in the back room, not in good shape, and Billy was chairing the meeting, and he asked him right straight out, "You got a desire to stop drinking?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, well, it's not really my problem." And Billy goes, "Well, do you drink?" Well, and he keeps asking me. And finally the kid says, "Well, I don't drink very much, hardly ever at all. It's the other stuff." And then Billy lost it. Kicked him out. And my stomach was turning. I mean, I love the guy. He saved my life, right? He was the thing that taught me how to be a sober man. He was the vessel. God spoke through him to me, and saved my life. And now I do the same thing. I'm not magical or anything like that, but God speaks to me when I'm working with another man, and I can tell him my experience, and then I can help them, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way Billy was with me. And then he's kicking this kid out, and we got fentanyl, all kinds of stuff. My stomach was turning, and but when the kid walked out, and he was probably in his 30s, but I'm 80 now, so everybody's a kid, right?
Yep.
And I just remember one of the old timers got up and walked out, and I thought, wonder what that's all about. And then when the meeting was over, an hour and 10 minutes later, I walked out. There's the old guy talking to the kid, the young man. I go, oh, now I get it. See? Billy wanted to keep our meetings focused on alcohol, and there's other places to go. I was more of let everybody come in. And we debate this stuff all the time, but most people wouldn't ever. That's the only time I ever saw anybody kick somebody out of a meeting. But
But there was a reason, and it wasn't like, hey, you're out. Somebody pulled alongside and outside the meeting and talked to him. So that's cool. Now, there's a thing that you talk about in the book. You talk about the replay machine that's in an alcoholic's brain. I remembered what I wanted to ask you. Can you talk about that bitterness and resentment that you mentioned in the book?
Oh, I got a perfect one. They're called resentments, right? And resentment means to replay over and over and over again the same thing. And then a couple of the old timers would talk about, you watch a football game and the wide receiver goes up to get the ball and he kind of catches it, and then he flips over and lands on his head and drops the ball, and then they replay it over and over and over again. Well, that's what alcoholics do with resentments. So that very first week that Billy was working with me in my current recovery, 11 and a half years ago, Billy goes, you got a resentment against anybody that would take you back out and drink again? I said, yeah, I do. And it's a guy in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I tell Billy what it was. A guy had outed me. I had gone to a meeting, raised my hand. It was not the last time I drank, but it was, I don't know, 6 months before that. And this guy was sick of seeing me. And after the meeting, he stood in the doorway because my MO was as soon as the meeting was over, even though I raised my hand and got all those phone numbers, I'm out the door. I don't want to talk to anybody. And this guy knew, and he blocked the door, and he had two responsees, one on each side. He's a great big guy, 6 foot, whatever, poking me in the chest. And he's going, Randy, you know what your problem is? Oh, and he's yelling it. Everybody in the room is looking at us. No. I'm pretty sure you're going to tell me. I didn't say what I wanted to say, Todd. I just kept my mouth shut. And he said, your problem is you're not humble enough. Well, then my brain exploded.
Yeah.
He doesn't know I'm a combat Marine. I serve I'm a husband. I'm a lawyer. I'm all my good stuff. I'm talking, and I barged by him and walked out.
Yeah.
So Billy knew who the guy was. And he said, well, I want you to pray for him every day. In 10 days, 2 weeks, it'll go away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I said, okay. Next morning, he goes, are you praying for this guy? And I said, yes, Billy, I am. Oh, well, what are you praying for, Rand? I'm praying that he gets what he deserves.
Strike him down, God.
No, you pray for him that he stays sober, that he's gainfully employed. That you pray for him that he has everything that he wants to have.
Yeah.
Well, Todd, 10 days later, I woke up in bed. I was doing what he told me to do. I don't want to drink again, right? I have thought about this guy every day.
Yeah.
And it's been years. At that point, it had been months, many months.
Right.
Over a year, actually. And so one day, Billy says, are you still praying for this guy? It was the 10th day. I'll never forget it. I woke up that morning. I told Billy, I woke up. I didn't even get out of bed yet. I had said my prayers, and I'm laying there, and I was thinking about him, and I just got a smile on my face. Because I realized he had been sober for 10 years. He was always helping men. He worked for an agency that was helping disadvantaged children. He was living with a woman with 30 years of sobriety. He was always going to meetings. He always had a great message. And I thought, what the hell's wrong with you? And I just got a smile. And then after that, every time I thought of him, I got a smile. Nice. And then I had finished the steps. I'm starting to work with guys. I ran into him at a meeting, and he and I were the only ones in the building. I got there early. I'm getting a cup of coffee, and he walked in, and I said, here, have a cup of coffee. And I looked at him. I said, you saved my life. And he's looking at me. I said, that time you told me I wasn't humble, you were poking me in the chest. I said, made me so mad. And I said, but you were right. I realized, his name is Brett. I said, I realized, Brett, that you were right. I wasn't humble enough. What does humble mean? It means I'm willing to do God's will. What's God's will? If I'm an alcoholic, so I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And so I aligned my will with his will. And I said, Brett, you saved my life. It took a while longer, but, I got Billy and everything. And he's looking at me and he's shaking his head. And he goes, Rand, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're all right. And you want to know something really crazy, Todd? I ran into him. I haven't seen him in years. This is honest to God truth. I ran into him this morning at a gas station.
You did this morning?
This morning.
Wow, that's cool.
And I didn't realize. And he saw me. He ran over to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, big guy. Gave me a bear hug, picked me up, and he says, "How you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm doing great, Brett." We chit-chatted for a few minutes, and
That's great.
I hadn't seen
What a
him in
good
years.
story.
It just happened this morning. How does this stuff happen?
What a good story, man. That is so cool. I call it providence. That's what it is. So
Divine
that's
intervention,
great.
man.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how to tell you.
Yeah. So let's switch gears and talk about the hiking the Appalachian Trail. And I mean, to set the table, what is the Appalachian Trail for people that don't know?
Appalachian Trail is the longest footpath trail in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Goes from Springer Mountain, Georgia, through 14 states to Catadin Mountain in Maine. It's 22,198 feet long. They keep making it longer. No, they do, because they go over the top of every mountain. It goes over 600 mountains.
Oh, wow.
300 of them are named. There's 465,000, so almost 500,000 feet of elevation changes.
Wow.
And you're going up and down all day long. About 3 million people hike on the Appalachian Trail every year. I got this off of one of the websites. But only about 2,500 to 3,000 actually try to be through hiker.
Okay.
And of that, about 17% make it each year. So we're talking about 450, 500 people a year that actually do it. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
So you and your little brother, Ron, in your 70s, you decide to hike the Appalachian Trail. How did you decide to do that? How'd that come about?
Well, okay. Ronnie's wife, Edie, had a massive stroke in 2011. Now, Edie was our mother's best friend when Ronnie met her. He came back from Vietnam. He met Edie, our mother's best friend. She was 14 years older than him, divorced with 7 kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the next thing I know, they're hanging out. They're going line dancing and stuff like that. And he married her. He married her, and he became the patriarch of this huge family. They got very involved in the Mormon church. He became a bishop. He was always spiritual guy. He did a lot of funerals and weddings and all kinds of stuff. They went out to Utah and lived for 40 some years. And then he had the stroke, never got better. It got worse, many strokes. Ronnie took care of her for 6 years. She passed in November of 2017, and I was talking to him on the phone. I was worried about him. And I said, "What are you going to do, bro?" And he said, "I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail." I'm like, okay. I said, "Bro, I better come out and see you." So I went out in January, and we went hiking in the Utah desert. I couldn't imagine he was serious, because I had hiked quite a bit of the Appalachian Trail and Smoky Mountains and stuff. I had done fake bear charges with bears. I had quite a bit of experience. Turned out he'd been a ton of hiking in Utah. He was in really good shape, too, for our ages. We were both pretty good. I was walking I still walk 7, 8 miles a day.
Nice.
Hiking, yeah. I'm averaging 50 miles a week, pretty steady.
That's great. I need to step it up. So
yeah. So
that was another inspiration in the book for me was, man, I need to step it up. So
yeah. So he said, I asked him, "What are you going to do?" And he said, I'm gonna hike the Appalachian Trail. Well, it turned out he'd gotten the maps. He bought a bunch of gear. He was all ready to go. I said, "When are you going to go?" And he said, "March 22nd. I'm like, well, that's crazy. I said, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I'm going to get on a bus right down Springer Mountain and start walking." Well, I knew that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I said, "I'll go." So we did. On March 22nd, 2018, in a snowstorm.
Oh, wow.
We started, well, you saw in the book the snow the first couple of days there.
Yeah.
I love the picture.
That's what happens. Now, was Ron a Marine? Now, Ron went to Vietnam as well. Was he a Marine too?
No, he was in the Army.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He was the machine gunner on a helicopter for an Army unit down by Chu Lai in the middle of Vietnam.
Right.
I was way up north. I was almost in the North Vietnam, actually.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when Marines go to the field, it's always raining. There's always bad weather. So.
Oh, my God. But a lot of bad weather on the trail, too.
Yeah, you faced a lot. Those are some cool stories. Yeah, and you shared a lot of crazy experiences on the trail. So, can you tell that story about the pack of hikers who decided it was naked day and they hiked completely nude that day?
Yeah,
That was
well,
funny.
let's see. It was Father's Day 2018.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was June 20th, something like that. Doesn't matter. We're in
Hmm.
Virginia and beautiful hiking. And you get in a bubble where you see the same people for a few days. And then they either speed up or slow down, and then you're in a different bubble. But so I'm in this bubble with a guy by the name of Growler. It looks like Dan Boone or I don't know, Davy
Hmm.
Crockett or one big guy with a full beard, very built. I mean, and
Hmm.
he was with a woman. Her trail name was Coors Light. So
Hmm.
we always left early in the morning. I mean, right at daybreak usually. And I was always hiking north. We would park. We had two vehicles, so we would park on the trail.
Hmm.
And then in the morning, I'd just start out. Ronnie would drive down into the valley on one side or the other, which was closer, and go up another road until he got up to the trail. There are roads crossing the trail every 10 to 15 miles for a lot of it,
Hmm.
not all of it, but for a lot of it.
Hmm.
So, and then he would park and he would go south and I would go north. And we'd meet in
Nice.
the middle. Then he would finish up where my truck was, where we'd spent the night before, drive around, go back
Hmm.
up where he left his car. I would come out, we'd stay right there. So that was how we were doing it.
Yeah.
So one day, this day, I'm hiking up the mountain. Nobody's started out yet. And then I hear people behind me. So I pull over and I look back down the trail. And here's Coors Light in front and another woman behind her, and then Growler in the back. And they don't have any clothes on. And I'm like, whoa. So I kind of pulled over because they were going to go, they were faster than me anyway.
Yeah.
And Growler comes up and I said, what's going on? And he goes, it's Naked Day on the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
Rambo. My trail name was Rambo. And I
Yeah.
said,
Hope you brought a
oh.
lot of bug juice.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes are
So I
bad.
said, well, I'm going to do you guys a favor. So I step aside. They go by me. And Growler was actually in the front when they were coming up. But somehow when they were going past me and going up, Growler's in the back.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm following up behind him, and he's got more hair. He's covered with hair anyway, but he's got more hair on his, and we're on Hogback Mountain. Go figure, right? That's the name of the mountain we're climbing.
And you're staring at Growler's butt.
Yeah, I just pulled over. I couldn't take it.
Oh, my
A
goodness.
few hours later, I did catch up with them. They were on top of the mountain. They had their clothes back on. So,
Oh, my word.
yeah,
Lots of bug bites, I'm sure.
oh yeah,
Oh, my
funny
goodness.
stories. Funny stories. There was an Oriental guy was in one of the bubbles with us for a while. Short guy. He was dressed like a samurai warrior with the
Okay.
robes and everything. He could have had a
Yeah.
sword. You would never know because he had so much. And then he had this head thing on, and he carried a pack, of course. And
Yeah.
we could see him, and I'm always limping bad.
Hmm.
I had a lot of knee pain and other medical problems. But anyway, so one day he stops me. He goes, Rambo, let me hold your hands. Okay,
Okay.
I know what I'm doing. You just let me hold your hands. I'm going to help you with your knee pain. We're going to pray and it'll go away. Okay. So we're
Hmm.
standing on the trail holding hands and he's praying and people are walking by. It's like, what the, and I'm standing there and all of a sudden I realize he says Macbeth. And then
Okay.
my brain goes, he's quoting Shakespeare.
Okay.
But I said, you know what? I think I'm feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Because
Feeling
I don't
good
know how
now.
long we would have stood there, but I
Uh,
did feel better actually, Todd.
that's great. Oh, my
Yeah.
word.
Oh, I could tell you more
Yeah.
stories. They're in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good book. Now, you and Ron were in great shape, like you said, because you did a lot of hiking prior to the Appalachian Trail, but it's a brutal existence, just hiking day after day. So you had quite a few injuries along the way. So there were times where you had to start and stop and go get medical attention. So can you talk about some of the struggles?
Yeah, well, the worst one for me, of course, I have knee pain wicked anyway. In the beginning, like you said, climbing in the mountains is totally different. I can walk 8 miles today without too much problem. And I don't do it all at once. I do 3 miles and then I'll do another three and then so on.
Right.
But in the mountains, it's a whole different ball game. You're lucky if you can do a mile and a half in an hour. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
up, up, up,
Right.
down, down, down. And I have hammer toes. So even after the second day, uh, I had blisters on top of all the knuckles of my toes.
Yeah.
So they were bleeding.
Mm.
And my socks would be pink every night. My socks would be pretty much saturated with blood. And I'm not
Oh.
thinking too much about it. I wash them out and, I had two pairs, so on and so forth. But
Hmm.
after 2 weeks, I started getting this wicked bad. I thought I had done shin splints or something in my leg. My daughter actually thought I'd broken my leg. I said, well, I
Mm.
don't think I could hike with a broken leg. But so
Yeah.
I went to the emergency room. Turned out I had infection. And
Oh.
doctor said I was like 12 hours from being septic.
Oh.
I hadn't come off the trail. And I don't know, he spouted off some.
Mm.
So they put me on quadruple antibiotics. And I ended up not hiking for a week. And
Mm.
then I felt better. And so Ronnie said,
Yeah.
you want to start again? I said, yeah, let's do it. So I went back.
Yeah.
And
Good stuff.
yeah, I fell every day. I broke 4 poles, hiking sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean,
It's not easy.
no,
No.
it's
Yeah.
not easy. But
Yeah.
there
If
were a
anybody's ever
lot.
been in the military and you've humped a pack, then you add things to, the trails and the mountains and all that's tough. And you did it in your 70s. So kudos to you, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, the book is entitled A Spiritual Passage. So how was hiking the trail a spiritual journey for you?
For me, it was for sure because I had 4 years of sobriety at that time. I was helping a couple of guys like I always was. And
Yeah.
so we made a deal. They would call me I would turn my phone on every day at a certain time and try to be at the top of a mountain where I had a signal. And so they were
Mm.
talking to me. They were helping me stay sober. I was doing a meeting in my head every day with the readings.
Yeah.
And then
Mm.
I almost died one night on the trail in a really bad storm in a bad spot. I really made a bad decision, and I was on a point in the Smoky Mountains where the trail drops off hundreds of feet on both sides,
Hmm.
and the shelters were full, so I was trying to get to another gap, and there's a gap on the Smoky Mountains on the south side of what's the name of the middle point? Can't think of it right now, but anyway. Called False Gap. Well, it's called False Gap because there's no gap. So I
Hmm.
pitched my tent in the middle of the trail on a ridge with no trees, and it dropped off hundreds of feet straight down on both sides.
Wow.
And then in the middle of the night, these storms came up, and it sounded like freight. Todd, I have never been so scared in my life when nobody was shooting at me. I mean,
Oh,
literally.
wow.
It would sound like freight trains coming up from the south, and the way the valley was, it was wide, and then it narrowed right where I was. So these winds were coming up. Sometimes the freight train would go on one side of me or the other, and then when it hit that tent, it was just collapsing like an accordion, just boom, 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 boom. My brother said, were
Mm.
you hanging on to the rods? I said, hell no. I was pushing down on the stakes as hard as I could because I felt like I was in a body bag. I
Oh,
mean, it felt like I was just going to be blown off that mountain at any moment. And
wow.
I'm praying to God. I'm like, God, I've been a good boy.
Yeah.
Been a good boy for 4 years now. I'm helping people. I don't. Are you trying to kill me? I don't want to die. But if you
Yeah.
and I'm Todd, I was sincere. If this is it for me, okay, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'd rather not. And it went on until just before daybreak, and then finally they stopped, and
Oh,
I got out of the tent. I had turned my phone on, and all of a sudden it rang, and I answered it. It was one of my guys, and he says, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm doing good. I'm checking in, Rand. And he said, I've been really worried about you because I've been watching the weather. And they said there were like tornadoes where you are. And I said, well, there was no tornadoes that I know of, but I was really bad. I didn't tell them the whole detail. I didn't want them to worry about me too much. But
yeah.
yeah. So Ronnie had a moment in the book, as you may recall, he was
Mm.
really tortured that day. It was Father's Day, and he was worried. He was thinking about our
Yeah.
dad and
Yeah.
Edie, and then he saw that halo. There's a picture in the
Mm.
book with the halo,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
he felt like, and it looked like there was a person standing. It was the only light we saw that whole day. It was a really dark day, gloomy as heck. And
Hmm.
I don't know if Ronnie was seeing what he thought was Jesus Christ, or if you were Buddha, could be Hindu, it could be whatever. It can be whatever you
Right.
want. But he felt
Mm.
like he was getting a message and it's from our dad and Edie. It's going to be all right, Ron. It's okay. We're
That's
good. We're
great.
together now. It's good.
Yeah.
And it changed his parameters in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sense of peace. Yeah.
Yeah. So things like that. I mean, a lot of things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, and what I like about it, at the end of every chapter, you put a little nugget of wisdom just to summarize what you've covered in the chapter. So much wisdom in the book, man. It's good stuff. And now, before we met today, as we were interacting, talking about the interview, you said something about your mission and goal for writing the book and doing these interviews. Can you share that with the audience?
Sure. I had 5,000 pictures and it was a very exciting, I mean, it was a monumental
Hmm.
deal. And I was thinking about my family, I got some grandkids, and Ronnie's got 27 grandkids and now almost 30 great grandchildren. So he's got a
Wow.
huge family that Edie left him.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just thought, well, maybe it'd be good to document it. And then when I started writing, I realized, I don't know, somehow I just started, I feel like God was kind of saying, let's go a little bit further with this, and let's put a story out there of how you got sober, include that in
Right.
it, and make it a spiritual, not only journey for the physical part of it, but the spiritual part of it, and
Yeah.
share that, and it'll help other people. And
Yeah.
that's my whole, well, first it was for the family, and I published that book, and then I got a publisher and did
Hmm.
it professionally, so to speak. But,
Right.
and it's funny because I've been doing podcasts. I had a host, one of the very first ones I did, after we got done, he said, man, he said, I wish my dad could talk to you. And he was telling me how bad his father was and everything. I said, well, give
Right.
me his address and I'll send him the book.
Oh,
Well, he didn't do
nice.
that right away. And then finally I got an email from him. He said, Rand, you can send my dad his address, the book. Here's the address. And don't tell him I had anything to do with it. So
That's
I did. I
great.
sent out the book and I wrote in it, may you overcome your difficulties, happy trails, sign my name and sent it to him.
Yeah.
And about, I don't know, 6 weeks later, all of a sudden I got an email and said, I don't know why you sent me this book, but I liked it and I think I'm going to do something different.
That's great.
That's
It's
what
a
we
great
want.
message in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
good. What a great story.
yeah.
So as we're wrapping it up now, what is your message for just in general people that are struggling?
I would hope that they be inspired to do more than what they probably are doing. I know a lot of people my age that are sitting on the couch waiting to die, and that's not a
Yeah.
good thing. And yet, I also know people my age that are coming to programs and with walkers and oxygen bottles, and they got a big grin on their face, and they're happy, and they're making the best of their life that they can do. I'm hoping it will inspire people to take a look at their life and say,
Excellent.
you know what, I don't have to live. I can have some serenity and peace and love and joy in my life. I just got to get off the couch and start moving a little bit, one step at a
Yeah.
time. We can do a lot more things than we think, one step at a time. Just do the first step. Get up off the
Yeah.
couch, get the walker, get this, go do that. And,
That's
and
great.
interact with other people. That's the worst
Yeah.
part of the way we're living our lives today.
Oh, yes.
Get
So
outside,
so
see
true.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the message for alcoholics?
Don't drink today, no matter what.
Yeah. Get
But
help.
more importantly, make a connection with a higher power. Surrender. Give up. You don't have to be like that.
Hmm.
That program I'm in, its last count was somewhere around 4 million people. I think it's a lot more than that now. I can't advertise it. We have a tradition where we don't do that. We talk about attraction rather than promotion. And so I can't really promote the program. So that's why I'm being kind of coy about it a little bit. But
Understood. Yep.
yeah, but it works. And
Mm.
it's a spiritual program. See, that was the part I didn't understand. I think, Todd, that God kept me alive under unbelievable circumstances for a reason.
Yeah.
I'll finish with this. A couple of years ago, I was, working with a guy, and we did his fifth step where you admit your wrongs and you kind of throw everything out there, and then you can move on. And he looked at me, he said,
Mm.
Rand, if you could go back and get sober, quicker than you did. And would you change? And I said, no, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't know what I know now.
Exactly.
Would not know.
That's a good message. Yeah, it's dangerous looking at the past and wishing for that it had played out differently. So nostalgia, that one thing I learned is nostalgia and regret. Those are two deadly things because it removes us from the present and makes us sad. So yeah, I heard someone say recently, look back, but don't stare.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So that's good scoop. But so where do people find you? How do they connect with you, Rand?
Actually, if you Google my name, it will pop right up. Or if you put in a spiritual passage on Google, you'll be right on Amazon. Or they can go to my website, which is randtimmerman.com, and then there's a link to Amazon and thrift books and all that, and they can see some of the videos and other things. Yeah.
Nice. So I'll put links in the description here, and wow, what an uplifting story. I enjoyed reading the book, and I enjoyed talking to you even more, Rand. So this is cool.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, my takeaway here is, coming from having family members who struggled with substance abuse and things like that, this was encouraging to me. And it was a reminder to me that I could easily fall into that as well. And my family have a family history there. So it's a dangerous thing. But at the same time, I was given hope by your message. So you didn't believe, but you reached the point where you said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pray. And God reached into that and changed you. And man, what an uplifting message. So I appreciate you sharing that. And it has just been wonderful chatting with you. So thanks so much, Rand. Appreciate you, brother. Now, for our friends, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review and share it with your friends. And until next time, we'll see you on the path.